Hey everybody, welcome to Mushroom and Gardening Experiments. I'm your host Ted. It's April 17th and hopefully we've had our last frost so far. And you can see here I got little trays of cherry tomatoes. I've got some bell peppers and a sweet potato that I'm growing sweet potatoes. So if you're going to start your tomatoes from seeds, you want to have them in a bright window, and it's got to be an area where you get a lot of sun, because if it's cloudy all the time, your tomatoes are just going to get long and stringy. In that case, you're going to have to put a fluorescent light on them, or some type of grow light, to make them grow short and stout. See, these all look pretty good. Now, while they're growing, there's no wind in the house, so you have to simulate wind, and you can, a couple times a day, you could take just a regular pencil. You don't really want to use your fingers because you're going to put oil on the tomatoes and they're not going to like that. But you just kind of knock them around a little bit and shake them like the wind would. And it's going to strengthen them up. I've been doing this like twice a day. Just kind of knocking them around. See, my peppers are ready to go in the garden. They need to get in the garden before they get root bound. And these, if they don't go in the garden, they're going to have to be transplanted. And you don't want to transplant them until they have this many leaves at least. And then when you do that, they're going to go into shock, and it slows everything down. So one other way to do it would be to just put one seed in each container, and then you won't have to transplant it until you actually plant it in the garden. So before I plant them in the garden, I want to stick them outside for a few days in the shade so they get the wind and get used to the atmosphere outside instead of the dry atmosphere in here. And of course you gotta pick these up and kind of weigh them and see how much water is in the dirt. And you'll know when you pick it up, it'll be bone dry and it'll be very light. And then once you water them, go ahead and pick them up so you know what the weight is. And then every day, every other day or so, you're gonna have to pour a little water on them. And that's another thing. You want to have like a jug of water, non-chlorinated, by sticking the jug like in the window or something where the sun could hit it, or just kind of leave the cap off so the chlorine dissipates out of there, and it's the same temperature as the room when you water them, and that goes for houseplants and everything. And then it doesn't put them in shock. So that concludes my experiment for today. I wanted to show you one other thing. We got a sweet potato growing here, and it's just a potato I bought at the market. Poked a couple toothpicks in it to hold it in the water. See the roots growing? And once these little sprouts on top, they'll grow like 6 inches or whatever. You want to just pull them off of there between 4 and 6 inches, and then stick them in some dirt and they'll root. And then once they root, you can put them in the garden. But of course, again, you got to be in a southern climate because they like hot weather, and they've got a long growing season of like possibly 200 days, I think it is. So anyway, have fun gardening.